if you're watching this video, you're probably confused because NBA 2K22 officially drops in a couple days on September 10th. But yet, we haven't had a demo like we did in previous years to try out and figure out what build we're going to make. To test the builder, the goods, the bads. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to break down not only my NBA 2K22 build, but all the builds I think and my predictions for what builds are going to be good and bad in NBA 2K22 and help you guys determine when you go into builder what things you should look for. So if you appreciate this video, please drop a like, man. We're gonna have a lot more NBA 2K22 news and content when the games drop, but let's get into it. Yo, what's up guys? It's PowerGotGame back with another video. Now, before I get into the video and breaking down all the builds that I'm gonna make, the builds that I think that will be the best, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. So you know the information that I'm telling you and giving you in this video is actually credible. I was a legend in 2K21 on next gen and current gen. I was a legend in 2K20. I was a legend in 2K19. And I did this using builds that I made from the start of the year. And I consistently have made good quality builds. I've played against the best people in good competition. I've played wagers from $1,000 to $5,000 on some of the biggest stages on 2K. So I have a good idea of what works in the game and what doesn't work. And I have a lot of experience finding out what builds are consistently good. Because although the builds and the gameplay change from every single year, there's a pattern in 2K of what builds will always work. So what I'm going to be breaking down, number one thing I want to kind of inform you guys on is the differences between the builders. So on next gen, basically the builders are kind of the same but different. Next gen is pretty much a similar builder from last year. We can choose your own attributes and your attributes are linked to your badges, but it's a little bit more balanced. You're not going to be able to get as many OP players as you were in 2K21. Current gen is pretty much from what we know is pie charts again, but there might be a couple new pie charts, Mike Wang said. So first I want to break down, before I get into the actual builds, first I want to break down the patch builds. And these are builds where it may have been good last year, but when you go into builder this year, do not make these builds 100%. Number one build on next gen is the 6'7" Demigod point guards that are power forwards that got all these badges who are good in every single stat. That's not going to work this year. Look, I'm going to go into the exact builds later, but look more for a smaller guard if you're going to be a guard than a 6'7" and think you're going to be able to upgrade everything next gen, because you're not. Now, in current gen, I don't feel like any builds are legitimately going to be patched. I feel like there are going to be new builds that are good that weren't good last year, but I feel like one of the safest bets, and I want to go into that in a little bit, one of the safest bets in current gen if you're playing it is make the exact same build you were good at last year. It's probably going to be pretty good this year too. I'm not going to lie to you. So that's what I'm going to say for current gen. So what I want to break down is the safe builds. That's the next thing I want to break. So what I mean by safe builds are builds that, these are the most conservative type of builds. So there are people where they're coming in the game and this may not be the best build, but it's going to be a build that's always going to be decent. It's not going to be the best build. It's not going to be the worst build. It's going to be a build that's always good. So it's kind of like a safe build that you don't have to worry about, oh, I have to make my build first day because it's terrible or it doesn't work. But there could be other builds that are better. So if you're in current gen, the builds I would look like are the meta builds last year. If you make a play shot, exact same how you did last year, 6'1", you want to make it like 6'1" to 6'4". But if you make a play shot yellow green, that's just, it's not going to be bad. That's never, ever, ever going to be bad. I promise you. So I know it's basic. It's a lot of people like to try new builds. But if you want the most basic build, you just really don't want to mess up, make a yellow green play shot on current gen 6'1" to 6'4". 6'1" if you want to be a little bit quicker, 6'4" if you want to be taller, better at defense. Simple as that. Now, for dribbling, for next gen, you want to build, it's kind of like a similar facet as a play shot, but you choose your stats. So what you want to do, if you make a build on next gen and it has 93 pointer, 90 speed, and 90 ball handling, there's just no way that build can be bad if it's a guard. But you probably want to make it a little bit shorter than last year. You probably all want to go maybe like 6'3", 6'4", or maybe 6'2". See where you can get the max 3-pointer on next gen. But make a shorter build than you were last year on next gen. But make sure you have speed. Make sure you have 3-pointer. Make sure you have ball handling. Those are the 3 key stats. you want to go there. So now for centers on current gen, safest build is a pure red. That might not be the best build. Shooting centers are, if you heard about the shooting this year, it's going to be a lot easier to shoot with low 3-point rating. So shooting centers might come back, but it's like we don't know the exact ratings until we play it. So the safest build for a center on current gen is just make a pure red. Now I would say pure blues are decent, but we don't know what the rep system is going to be like. If it's lobs, pure blue is also going to be a very, very good safe build, but pure red on current gen will always be good. Now on next gen for centers, the safest build in my opinion is literally just max out your shooting and get around a 90 rebounding. So any build that has 83 pointer, 90 rebounding, and around an 80 speed is going to be good. So you want to build with max shooting, max rebounding, and decent physicals. So because the thing about on next gen is you get to upgrade your physicals to what you want. So on current gen, that pure red is so good because it's one of the fastest centers and it's quick. But on next gen, what you can do is you can have a build that can shoot, rebound, and it's still as fast as any inside center. So that's why on next gen, generally, you should always just make a shooting center. There's no reason to make an inside center unless you're going to make it like super tall or something like that. So those are the safe builds. If you guys came to this video, I'm going to talk about some wildcard builds I think are going to be good in a second. But if you came to this video because you just want a build that's guaranteed going to work, look for that when you first start up the builder. Now, the next thing I want to go into before I go into the builds to look out for are the key attributes and physicals you want to look for. So for guards, if you're a ball handler, you need to have a minimum 85 ball control on both games. That's what they said is going to be needed for pro geo moves. But you can have more unless you're good in other areas. So like if you're a pure playmaker and you're only good at dribbling and shooting, you should probably have like a 90 or something ball control. But if you're using one of those weird builds, then maybe you can just be at an 85 or 86. Like the scoring machine, builds that are good at dunking and shooting in multiple areas. But you need at least an 85. Don't go out here making guard builds with a 75 ball control. That's all I'm trying to tell you guys. Now, if you're a guard, generally, you always want to match your 3-pointer. You don't want to have a lower 3-pointer than you're able to have. So match your 3-pointer to what you can if you're a guard, especially on current gen. On next gen, you can kind of play with it a little bit depending on what badges you want to get. But generally, you want the highest 3-pointer that you're possibly able to get. Now, shooting centers, because they said they made shooting a lot easier this year, I would say you can try making a build for 70-75 3-pointer if you want to look out for that. But that's kind of risky. Just know if it's below a 73 pointer, I wouldn't go and make a shooting center first day with that, because you could easily go out there with a 65 3-pointer and you just can't shoot with that. So I'd try to get at least a 70 if you're trying to be any type of shooting center this year. Now, key thing we know, strength as a rating and pretty much so many 2Ks in the past couple years, probably like the last 4 or 5 2Ks, it's never mattered. So you can have low strength as a center and you never get pushed around. So in current gen, like, don't pay attention to your strength too much. I'd rather much have speed and acceleration on the center and on the guard. On next gen, strength is not really important. It's just key to get your badges. So make sure you have the strength needed to get the brick wall you want or whatever badges you want, but you don't really need the rating. You're not going to get pushed around because you have low strength. That's what the main key I'm thinking is. So some people master strength to 90 and 95, and I really, in my experience playing 2K, I've never seen pretty much like any advantage in doing that. Next thing, guys, is 6'9" and under players, and this Mike Wayne confirmed this directly to me in a tweet. 6'9" and under players get jump shots that 6'9" and higher players don't get. So if you're trying to make a shooter, whether it's the shooting center, a shooting guard, any player that you're trying to make that you want to shoot, don't make it taller than 6'9". Don't go out here making a 7-foot stretch. That's not it. So every player that you're gonna make, if you want to be able to shoot on it, make it shorter than 6'9". That's my general rule. So try to follow that. Next thing is, don't make players too tall. We've seen if you make a player taller than 7 feet, there's no reason ever to make a player taller than 7 feet in this game, unless you're trying to do a post score or a really big inside center trying to dunk on people or lay it up on people. So pretty much a post score is the only way a player should be taller than 7 feet. Because the problem is, even if you're a center, how this game works is you make a 7'1" player, you're going to be extremely slow. You're going to be 50, 60 speed. It's going to hurt your defense because you can't pick up on people off the screen. You can't rotate. You know what I mean? You're going to move so slow. You never want to be a Snell on the court. So Do not make a player above 7 feet unless you're a post scorer. Exception is the post scorer. And for guards, what's going to be really key, try to get the fastest guard possible. If you can get a 99 speed on a guard, try to get that, because that's usually one of the best builds in the game all the time. So try to get those high physicals on a guard. Next thing I want to go into are the takeovers, guys. So the key takeovers to look at for current gen, guards, generally sharps are always, if you're making a guard, sharp is always the best takeover. Now you can try and play with the other ones like playmaking or shot creator if you want to do something fun and different, but if you just want to be comp, sharp is usually always the best. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Now for centers and big men on current gen, usually it's rebounding. If you don't have rebound in your build and you're like a pure stretch or something, it can be different, but if you're able to get rebounding, generally you want to get rebounded. It's either rebounding and sharp for a stretch. For current, if you're making a lockdown, then they should have lock take on current gen. Now for next gen, I don't know how it's going to be this year completely, but I think you should look towards sharp take, because on next gen, sharp take, next gen kind of prioritizes shooters. So usually sharp take is usually the best for everybody. So I would take a look at sharp take for next gen, and I think on next gen you can change your takeover. So I wouldn't worry or stress too much about that on next gen, because if you mess it up, just change it. Honestly. And now, but also thinking to look on next gen is the new takeover perks. So the takeover perks could be very, very useful if you pay attention to them. So they could be OP. Don't sleep on takeover perks. Now, last but not least, I'm gonna fill you guys in with some builds I think that you should look out for. Builds that weren't good last year, but this year may be different. Number one thing are low 3-bar builds on both gens. Try making a build, maybe not first day, but try making a build with a 70, 75 3-pointer and see if you can at least hit your shots. Because they said they're gonna make it easier to shoot. So if you can make a build that's able to go off of a 75 3-pointer, that could be really good, both in current gen and next gen, where it wasn't good last year. If you guys get what I'm saying. Next thing is, on current gen, the shooting red green is one of those great examples. So the shooting red green wasn't good last year just because it really couldn't shoot that well. And then it was just weaker at rebounding. This year, I think that could be good. A two-way slash and play type build could come back on current gen. So look really into that yellow red Pytron on current gen and just see and try it out and see if you're gonna be able to shoot effectively on that. Next gen, those shorter guards you want to look for, you may be able to go as short as 6 foot 1 and just be fast, speedy, and be able to shoot. They said they're going to make them quicker this year. So there is benefit in next gen in being a shorter player, where last year is like, you might as well just be 6'7" and 6'8". If you're just short, you're just an idiot. So they're not those demigods where they are. On next gen, something else to look for are like tall playmakers. Now I know 6'7s aren't going to be as overpowered as they were last year, but I think a build that people are sleeping on is making a build more like that's tall and is just really good at playmaking and able to dribble, and then you have the size advantage because so many people are gonna have smaller guards in next gen this year. Last but not least on next gen is, I think slashing and shooting builds are gonna be really, really good. So a build that can dunk and can shoot really well and just has like the minimum ball control needed, something like an 85, something like how the BV was a couple years ago. If you can make something like that on next gen, it could be extremely dangerous. So that's gonna conclude all my builds to look out for. That's pretty much most of the stuff I wanted to cover. I hope I covered the good builds on next gen, the good builds on current gen, and this gives you guys an idea of when you make your build, what you should do. So I'm just trying to help everybody. I know this year was so confusing for both of us. I don't know what you guys plan to do. I'm gonna be playing next gen, I'm gonna be playing current gen. I'm gonna be trying out both games to see what I like more. I'm probably gonna, within the first couple of days, you should see me drop my current gen build, my next gen build. What I have planned right now, I saved this for the end, is next gen, I kind of want to make like a rebound and stretch, like stretch cleaner type build on next gen. And on current gen, I might try to make, I want to make like a slash and stretch. I don't know if that's gonna be possible, but probably, I feel like I really want to make a stretch playmaker type build, sort of like what Duke Dennis does a couple years. Like that would be nice for me, like a build that can like play make, but can also shoot. So like a stretch playmaker type build on current gen and like a rebound and stretch on the next gen. That's what I'm kind of working with, or what I'm thinking I want to do. So that gives you an insight of the builds I'm liking. I might try out different builds throughout the year, but I hope you guys enjoy. Like this video if you haven't already. Sub up if you guys are new, and I am out.